So we will be conducting these programs, this course under the aegis of IITD AIA Foundation for Smart Manufacturing, which is a independent entity within the IIT Delhi. So this body has been formed in association with Automation Industry Association and supported by the Department of Heavy Industry, Government of India. So we call it a Common Engineering Facility Center. And there's an initiative from the Government of India, which they call a Samarth Udyog. So we'll discuss about what exactly Samarth. I think most of you will be understanding Hindi. So Samarth is basically capable. So we would like to make people capable of implementing smart manufacturing technologies. So that is the idea behind this course. So if you see the kind of structure that we have prepared for our masterclass series, we have already conducted sessions under the awareness scheme, where we have taken around 2 hours of live sessions, and we have give you a complete overview about specific technologies. But that will be just creating an awareness, basically how to what are the basics of those technologies, how they can be implemented for smart manufacturing. Now, the second level that we are now going to start from today, it's a learning level. So learning is certainly much more than an awareness. You know something, that is what we consider as an awareness. But once you know, you are keen to implement actually, and you want to learn deeper, and then you would like to do experimentation, practical learning with these, because these technologies are not just limited to the books. You cannot be expert by just reading some of the chapters from these books. It is more important to deep dwell into these technologies, and you need to understand and do experimentation with these technologies to understand and make yourself capable to implement these technologies. So that is the basic idea behind this learning series. And after this learning, we will be conducting one more level, which is an expert level, because with this kind of an exposure, then you will be experimenting with the real field implementation. So you will be deploying such technologies directly with the manufacturing organization. So that is the idea. So we'll take up once we will cross this learning level. So this is the program that we are going to start. Earlier we have not included robotics, but now we have included the robotics implementation, because we are doing quite a good robotic implementation in our lab. So that is the idea, that we have added the 5th course in this series. Please let me know wherever you need any clarification, or wherever you feel that you are not able to understand something. It's better we will have a more elaborate discussion in this live classes, because otherwise remaining content will be made available to you online through the website, as well as we will be also giving you an access to our lab where you can conduct some of the experiments. So the structure.
Can I have a question?
Yeah, please.
Sir, as a mechanical engineer, what is the role of mechanical engineering in the smart manufacturing? That I want to ask. That means it is a multidisciplinary field, like electronics and computer engineering,
correct.
information technology.
Yeah. So if
how deep we need to go in each area?
Yeah, so what I will do today, in fact, to address this question itself, I have picked up an example which I will discuss in the coming slides. But the idea is that when we talk about manufacturing, the core of manufacturing is mechanical engineering only. It means the manufacturing processes which are working at the equipment level, at the product level, they are the mechanical processes only. Now, how the revolutions happened, how the transition happened from the basic manufacturing operations and processes to make it more productive, more controlled operation. That is where the role of automation as well as the computing come into picture. So before we start this series of smart manufacturing, or before we talk about the technologies which are relevant with the smart manufacturing, manufacturing is always at the core. Without having a domain knowledge, that is the idea, that without having a domain knowledge of the manufacturing operations, process and machines, you cannot think of implementing just a data science, because then it's in a completely different disconnect. So idea of having this interdisciplinary subject, because technology has to go more and more interdisciplinary. It cannot be just confined to one domain of, that is what the industry want. So in this case, certainly at the core of manufacturing is mechanical engineering, but how these additional technologies get added up or top up over the basic mechanical engineering to create another stream of automation as well as the smart manufacturing, that is where the understanding, and again, not too deep in understanding of the other streams are required. We need to understand the depth to whatever level we will be able to implement those technologies. So if I talk about electronics, I need not to go deep into the semiconductor research kind of a thing or to understand the devices as such. If I'm capable of understanding the building blocks of electronics and how I can connect them together to build an automated system, or how to write a small piece of code to process the information, that is what the take that we should have. Because whenever we talk about interdisciplinary learning, it's always good to have one core subject, and then you will be adding the additional subject on top of that, so that you will be understanding the complete domain. So that is the idea behind the subject of smart manufacturing. And certainly this has happened with the industrial automation initially. Again, industrial automation always fall in the domain of mechanical engineering, because people have to automate the machines and processes. So that is what in the nutshell. But quickly, I will share the slides and we will discuss about this transition, means why we need to learn the other subjects, other engineering disciplines. So we will discuss that part. Hope I am able to answer the question.
Yes, it is. Yes, sir, it is clear.
Sir, sorry to interrupt, but there are two people in the lobby. They are waiting. And
yeah. So I was not able to see them. So what I will do, Preeti, you will be there in the course?
Yes, sir.
We'll just check. Preeti.
Yes, sir.
So what I will do, I will just put you as a co-host. So if you see anybody waiting, please just let them in.
Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, so I have made the other people into the class now. So the structure of this course. So if you see that we have structured this course, though it looks like there is a 5-month program, but if you see that when you just go along with this kind of a learning, you will realize that even this time is again fall short. We need to spend more time in understanding this, because we will be barely touching upon the basic implementation methodology. That's what we said, that after this learning, we need to go for the expert, where you will really implementing these technologies. Because in these 32 hours, I'm still able to make you acquainted and familiar with these technologies, so that if you have any repulsion about any technology and difficulty in understanding that technology, that will go away, and you feel that all are friendly technologies and they are equally potential to be merged together and then go for the implementation in the industry. So that is the basic idea. So we have divided the whole curriculum into 5-month program, and every month we will be taking up one area and then one technology to discuss further. And the first course is about the basic understanding about smart manufacturing. And then probably with that basic understanding, we'll talk about the technologies, and we will pick up individual technologies and learn how to implement those technologies. So we picked up the basic core technologies, starting from the industrial IoT, and then augmented reality, machine learning, and the robotics. So if you don't have any experience working in these technologies earlier, there's nothing to worry. We will completely help you out to get enough first-hand experience of playing around with these technologies. So the structure of this program, which is in a 5-month program, is that we will be having 2 core courses. So FSM 201 and 202 are the core courses. When I say core courses, means they are mandatory to qualify. Other than that, rest of the courses may be taken up depending on your interest. But the fundamental thing we will see in the coming slides also, the different stages of implementation of the smart manufacturing, how these two core are important. And post that we will see if we can do additional implementation in terms of the AR, machine learning and robotics, that is fine. So we put the structure like this. There will be two core, FSM 201 and 202, and then there are 3 electives. You can choose any 2 electives to at least qualify the whole course. But you are free to attend all 3 also. So there is no limit, but less than 2 will not qualify you for the certificate. So it's a compulsory that you have to qualify the core 1 and then core 2, and post that you have to do minimum 2 electives out of these 3 elective programs. The evaluation scheme that we have planned, idea is to keep your interest alive and then keep you connected with this learning. We have divided the whole evaluation in a progressive manner, so that as we go along, the evaluation will also go on. So there's no written examination as such towards the end of the course. We will be having quizzes after live lessons that we will be conducting, that will carry a weightage of 25%. There will be quizzes based on the e-learning content that we will share with you, so that we'll make sure that you have gone through that content. And it's a very important content, because we have a complete repository of that content. We will be selectively sharing with you. It's not that we want you to read everything. Whatever we filter it out and which is more useful for this course, we will share that e-learning content with you. Then we'll also be conducting quizzes after the labs, because we make sure that you learn what has been demonstrated in the lab. So if you are not able to understand anything, please just flag it. So we will be spending more time and explaining the concept, and you will be able to learn adequately in the lab. It's more important to spend time in understanding in the lab, because as we are talking about the implementation, certainly these live sessions are to bridge that gap between the theoretical learning and the lab sessions. So I will be giving you that inputs, but you will be learning much more than what we are discussing here. So whatever basic things we are discussing here, you will be learning how to implement that part. And there's a project plan in this course, which is again carrying a 25% weightage. So this project will be different for different courses that we will be discussing when we will be taking up the detailed course outline. So this is the outline for the first course, that is FSM 201, which is an implementation of the smart manufacturing. So what I will do, I will be sharing the recording of these sessions live also. So if you have missed anything, if you want to repeat it again, that will be made available to you. So we will be conducting 4 live sessions. Today is the first live session, giving you a complete overview about the Industry 4.0 understanding and the understanding of the smart manufacturing. And then we'll be conducting subsequent session, because cyber physical system integration is the key to this kind of an implementation. And how that can be implemented through data, that we will be discussing in the next session. We would also like to have a detailed session on the sensing, because sensor is the starting point of these integrations. So smart sensing for Industry 4.0 will be the third session. And finally, where the convergence between the automation and the connectivity happens, and what kind of values can be taken out from this integration, we will be discussing in the last session. So that is how the 4 live sessions has been planned. Now, in terms of e-learning content, as I said, I will be giving you specific things to read upon that will be supplementing what we will be discussing during the live sessions, and which are mandatory for your lab sessions also. So we have identified the learning content for 1 hour, 2 hour kind of a division. So that will be more appropriate. You will go through that content and understand it. In this overall course for implementing smart manufacturing, we have designed 4 labs, each of 2 hours. Lab timing we will discuss today, which is convenient to all of you. We will just finalize that lab time also. So initially we will introduce to our smart manufacturing training environment, the different kits, different hardware. And certainly there's an assumption over here. You have a basic understanding of automation. So this is very important because without automation, we cannot leapfrog into the Industry 4.0 implementation. So at any stage, if you feel that you don't have a sufficient background onto the automation, I am planning to again share my e-learning course, which I have conducted for IIT students in subsequent weeks, where I will be sharing the content of the automation course. So those who feel that they are still requiring a little more fundamentals on automation, they can parallelly go through it. So that will build the foundation for automation. But other than that, my co-instructors from the FSM lab, they will be helping you get familiar with this hardware, the basic programming environment, because the subsequent modules will require again the play around with these kits only. So it's very important to get familiarity with these kits and then understand how to do experimentation. So that is the first thing. Then second lab session, we will take you through the kind of implementation which we have done in the FSM lab. So familiarization with the technologies that we have implemented in the cyber physical assembly line that we have created at IIT Delhi. So idea is that whatever we have learned, whatever we have implemented in last 2 years, again, as I was mentioning, that this kind of understanding only come out when you do things practically. So there's no standard textbook you will come across which will guide you step by step to do this implementation. It's all through your own exercise you have to learn these things. So that is what my intent is, that in whichever institute you are associated with, you should start rolling some of these things during the course of this program itself. So we will keep sharing with whatever learning we have gone through. So we will be putting everything more transparently. So the same learning which we have gone through in the last 2 years will be transparently transferred to you. So that is the intent. Then we will get you familiar with the smart sensors. So whatever we will learn in smart sensing for Industry 4.0 and the basic learning, you will get an opportunity to connect these sensors with this hardware, understand the form in which the data will be made available, and how can I make use of that data to take a decision. So that is what the intent of the third lab, that is the sensing lab. And last lab, we will take you through a journey where we have converted a legacy machine, which is a purely mechanical or electromechanical equipment, into a smart machine. So that is the last lab session, how that kind of integration can be done. And that could be a good opportunity for all of you to start with any of such hardware in your facility, and subsequently you can plan that kind of integration. It doesn't require much heavy investment, but you will be able to easily integrate this kind of a hardware and can transform one of such system in your lab to in a smart machine. So that is the intent of these 4 labs, to give you a wider perspective of smart manufacturing implementation. Then we have factor in, there's a 10 hours project. So idea is that why I'm discussing today, because that will enable you to start thinking in that direction. So you have to establish a connectivity or a dialogue with any of the manufacturing organizations. So I'm sure that wherever you are staying, you will have some industries around. So you have to establish a connect. You have to discuss with them whatever concepts and approaches we are discussing in this course. And you have to identify a use case. Means one example I have already given you, that how a legacy machine can be made a smart machine, how the sensor integration will add a value to them, what kind of information will be helpful for them. So just have that dialogue, and we have to bring out a use case which the owner of that organization will appreciate and he is willing to implement. And so we need to justify all the investment required, the value addition that can bring out with this implementation. So this will be your project, and you have to finally keep working throughout this month to prepare a project report, and then we will have a presentation so that we will share our experience with each other. So you will be bringing out that understanding and sharing with all people in the class. So that is the overall structure of this course. Though it's look like too intensive, but we will make it more interesting, and you will enjoy the content. So we have these smart manufacturing training system in our lab. Uh, Again, idea is basically to proliferate the learning that we have accumulated over last 2 years, and enable people to do experimentation without spending much in the initial phase. Because we have that privilege that we have funding from the ministry, we have support from the industry. So we put a best in class state of art hardware in the lab, so that you would be able to get familiarity with the heterogeneous hardware. So whether it comes from the Mitsubishi, whether it comes from Rockwell, whether it comes from Siemens, whether it's in a low-end PLCs like Delta, Schneider, Omron. So these kits have all that industrial controllers assembled onto the hardware. And because Nitin has already done one course in last December means December of 2019, and where we made them do some experimentation. But now this fleet of kits has been increased with more wider hardware being added into that. So we have prepared this kit meticulously with based on our understanding what should be learned by a person who has an interest in smart manufacturing. So that is the idea. Again, this hardware is not officially or commercially available anywhere. This has been created as a part of a FSM activity only. So we build this hardware, our engineers build this hardware, and we design this hardware in such a way that before we implement anything onto the physical machine, I think these kits are sufficient enough to do all sort of experiments without spending energy in integration into the machine. So this will give a good foundation to learn these technologies. And once you get familiar and learn on these kits, you can implement similar things anywhere. So that is the basic idea. To get an experience and feel of a machine, we have created this electromechanical kit, which is again shown over here. This electromechanical kit will give you an interface with the motion control and with the various sensors. So you can think about implementation and connectivity in a similar fashion as you are doing with a machine tool. So that is the idea, how the connectivity can be done with the network or the cloud. So for that, we have industrial IoT gateways onto these kits. And certainly we have all sort of sensors interfaces built onto this kit. So in understanding of an industrial protocols is one of the most important part, which we will be slightly touching upon in industrial IoT course. That is how we call it in a core course, because industrial controller talk in a different language, which may not be the same as with the embedded microcontrollers. If you have done any experiment with them, we need to understand the language of industrial controllers, because in any industry, if we plan to integrate such implementation, we need to go with the industrial hardware, because that is more reliable and proven and tested. And it has a different environment to program them, which also have an ease of programming that hardware. So that is the idea behind having these kits. So this is just a quick view of this kit, which has an HMI plus push button interfaces with the backend controller environment. And this is our mechanism kit. So we will detail it out. We'll explain this when we have a lab, and people in FSM will explain you each and every component of this hardware. And we will enable you to get connected with the lab through AnyDesk environment, so that you will be having an access to the same PC where our people used to work, so that you can also write a piece of a code and you can make these kits working. We have also created a smart manufacturing trainer augmented reality environment. Idea is that you can also get a feel about this kit, and you will also be able to visualize through your mobile devices. So that is the idea. We will explain you how you can access that environment. So you can virtually see all these kits on your system, on your mobile phone. You can identify the individual component on these kits, and you will also be able to run some piece of the code and see the results coming out of this center. So this is a kind of an again augmented environment where we have some parts of the system available virtual, but they have a backend connectivity with the physical hardware also. So this is an FSM AR demo app. Right now it's available only for the Android. So if you have an Android phone, you can search this app and you can install it. We will explain during the lab itself how you can explore this augmented environment in one of the session. So that is the idea, means to give you another domain of learning where without having a physical asset, how the learning can be expanded. So our idea in this course is basically having a blended learning environment where we will have live interactions like this, because in the current scenario, we may not be having any physical classes as such, but certainly we look forward in the future when the situation get improved and we will be having a physical visit to our lab by all of you. So that will be again exciting for all of you once you have gone through this learning and you will see the things physically on the ground. But in the meantime, we'll also plan to give you a live demonstration of certain hardware through the live feed that we'll capture from the lab, and some hands-on labs, as I was explaining, so that you will be able to directly write the code into these kits and you will do experiments around those kits. Nitin, have you joined now?
Yes, sir. I'm there.
Yeah. So I hope you remember those late night
Yes.
exercises that you have spent on this
Yes.
in the December.
Yes, sir. Of course, I remember this,
Yeah.
and I could see that now the present course, curriculum is too exhaustive. Actually,
Yeah.
it was just a part which we learned during that 6 days program.
Correct. So that
But
was
now
just
I
an
could see that.
initiation. Yeah.
Right, sir. And I could see even each module you mentioned about 32 hours, right, sir? So it's as good as like studying one course in one semester.
Yeah.
And
Certainly.
if we consider 5 to 6 such a courses module of 32 hours of each, then it's as good as learning 6 subjects in a semester.
Yeah, certainly. And that
And
is
out
the
of
reason,
this,
see, people are initially complaining as why you are creating this kind of a quiz to take people inside. I said that is my methodology because I want to have an interested people, those who have a passion to learn actually. I don't want to fill the class with the people who just want to get a certificate from the course. I think that's a way I appreciate all of you have shown a deep interest and have gone through the initial preparation.
In fact, sir, I could see that the way you designed the course, you also thought of the kind of certification you are going to give us, because I'm confident at the end of this course we'll be definitely able to implement these things at ground level. So maybe as we could once we do some ISO certification, then we get that ISO certified so and so. So if you could you must have thought about this, but it will be great if we could get that recognition at the end of this course, sir.
Certainly.
Yes, right. Yes.
Thank you.
Because it's too exhaustive course, I could see.
Yeah, certainly. So now, before I start the class, though I have informally chat with you, I will request everyone to please introduce in the class. That is how we will go ahead. And then I will just come back to the slides again so that we'll have a brief round of introduction from all of you. So let everyone in the class will make their video available so that we'll introduce to each other as we used to do in a physical class. So you're still driving? You are on a mute, Nitin.
Sir, I stopped at one location, so I will be attending it from the car only, and then I will go home.
Okay. Thanks.
Right. Yes, sir. So I will begin, sir.
Yeah. You please start. Yeah.
Hello, everyone. I am Dr. Nitin. I am working as an associate professor in Symbiosis Institute of Technology. I have already attended one course from Dr. Sunil Jha sir, and it was a great learning for me. And I'm really looking forward for this course, and hope that all of you will equally enjoy this course.
Thank you, Nitin. Thank you.
Right. Thank you.
We'll go to Uday.
Good evening. I am Uday Joshi. I'm from Mumbai, KJ Somaya College of Engineering. I'm from Computer Engineering. And this is the first course I'm attending of yours, sir.
Thank you, sir. Thanks. Next, Atul.
Good evening, sirs. I am Atul Tehliani. I am also from Mumbai, KJ Somaya College. I am of Mechanical Department, final year engineering. Thank you.
You can also show indicate your motivation to go with this kind of an learning, and then why you have chosen
Yes,
to
sir.
go with this.
I am deeply interested in automation and smart manufacturing. I have been involved in robotics team of KJ Somaya for la- day, the year before last. And I had come to IIT Delhi because the national level finals were hosted in IIT Delhi.
Oh, great, great.
And it was a great experience, and that got me interested in smart manufacturing.
Thank you, Atul.
Yes, sir.
Ronak, you can introduce.
Yeah, good evening, everyone. I'm Ronak from Mumbai. I'm also from KJ Somaya College, and I have been part of Robocon for the last 2 years. And we had come to Delhi. Me and Atul were part of the same team. We had come to Delhi for the competition, and I had also attended the FSM overview classes, which were a few months ago, and that really got me interested into smart manufacturing. So I decided to join the course.
Thanks, Ronak.
Yeah.
Mukhtar.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Professor Mukhtar Sama from Marwadi University, Rajkot, and I have done my bachelor as well as master in production engineering. So I'm deeply interested in that's how that technology of electronics and computer can be implemented in the manufacturing field.
Okay, good. So I think that is all of Sachin. Yeah, Sachin Deshmukh is there. Sachin, am I audible to you? Yeah, please.
Hello, sir. Good evening. I am Sachin
good evening.
Deshmukh from MIT World Peace University. I'm in the university campus right now. Why I have joined this course, because my post graduation is in production engineering, and I am more interested in the area related to 3D printing. Basically, I am having 3D printing lab. 2 to 3 printers are there in the lab. So I am looking for the work related to metal printing, basically. But I don't have right now the facility available in my university. But it is available nearby in Pune. Okay. So I am searching that particular part to my research area, basically.
Okay. Thank you, Sachin.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
Thank you. So right now I have two of my fellow colleagues from FSM. So Preeti and Parth is there. So you can introduce yourself, Preeti.
Hi, hello everyone. I'm Preeti Joshi. I'm working with FSM for past 2.5 years. I'm involved in the domains of IoT and AR, and I will love to see you in one of the lab sessions on the same.
Thank you, Preeti. Parth, you are on mute.
Hi everyone, so this is Parth and I'm working with FSM for more than 2+ years for now, and I'm taking care of all the software development and experiences at FSM.
Thank you, Parth. Thank you. Thanks. So with this brief introduction, we'll go back to the class. Please feel free to interrupt me anytime you feel that you need more discussion. So we will just stop the class, because slides are just to support the understanding. So that is more important. So if you feel anywhere that you need a discussion, we'll certainly open a discussion, and then that will be more effective. So now I am going to start the session for today. That is FSM 201, implementing smart manufacturing. And let me just start with an example or a use case, or we can say it's a fictitious problem. But I would like to introduce, I think in one of the session I discussed with this example also. So we'll take an example of someone who owns a manufacturing facility. So that is what we took up an example of Mr. Samrat Kumar, who is already in a business. So idea is that we need to visualize, we need to go deep into the understanding what is the scenario in front of manufacturing industry, how the owner of manufacturing industry, because we are the learners of the technology, we are more keen to understand the technology, but ultimate beneficiary of this learning is the owner of a manufacturing facility. So if we see that a person who owns a business of manufacturing, He has a certain turnover which has been indicated over here. He owns a facility where he has certain machines, so he calls it in a factory. So you will come across whenever, as I said, you have to get in touch with any of the MSME who is into the business of discrete manufacturing. You will certainly have a similarity with what I am discussing right now about this Mr. Samrat Kumar. So in that, you will come across that people own a small facility, which we call as a factory. There are a few machines into the factory. So I'm sure that in your institution also, you have seen these machines. You have understood the basic principle of operation of these machines. Then he produced certain parts using these machines. So that is the scenario. But if you see the point that I would like to highlight over here, he has a significant amount of the rejection. That is a 9% rejection over here. So these are some of the products he is making. So now with this kind of a background, and this is the scenario, this is the representation of most of the MSMEs or the manufacturing industry in India. So if we see any of the cluster, whether it's an automotive cluster, whether it's a textile cluster, people used to have smaller facilities. They are doing business from many years. They own certain hardware infrastructure. They are making some products. Now, with this background, now when we talk about the smart manufacturing, means what is of interest to such owner? What is the new things he is going to get out of this learning or the investment that we are proposing as part of the smart manufacturing? So we'll take up this example, and with this example, we will keep on discussing some of the key technology implementations. So if you see here, the problem that are experienced day in, day out by these manufacturing people are the quality. So first thing that I would like to emphasize over here is the quality part, because as you see, the 9% rejection is very high. See, out of the turnover, almost equal to the 10% of the money has gone directly into the waste. So the poor quality is one of the major concern to these people. Then we have a concern of the late deliveries. People are not able to meet their commitments. So if I take an order from any of the OEMs, and if I am supposed to deliver these components within week, 10 days, and if I fail to make those deliveries, certainly it will impact my business. So that late deliveries is another big issues. See, again, these things are not mentioned in any of the book. These are picked up by interaction with the people from the industry. That is the same thing what I'm telling you, that you also please try to get in touch with some of the industry owners to get a real-time feel of this. So whatever we are discussing in the course or the class, later on we look forward for the project, maybe for the student that could be an internship, for the faculty you want to send some of your students to these industries. So that is the basic scenario that we are trying to build up. The third key important thing is the higher cost. So once you will be losing money in the rejections, once you are not make up to the time that is to be delivered, once you are not able to increase your portfolio of the products, certainly these things will going to impact your business. So there would be a higher cost. So with this, we need to understand where are the problems and how the technology is going to solve those problems. So I will just stop over here. Now I will take you to the platform because we need to do some exercise over there. And I will also be requesting those who are traveling. I am assuming that please make sure that next time we can work out a time where you will be available with your system, because we need to do some exercises during the class also. So those who have an access, please log in into the FSM Skill website. That is what I also be sharing with you. But this is well accessible onto the mobile devices also. So some of you can try it out also. Otherwise, the system is preferable. So what I will do, I will share with you the FSM Skills website. So I'm sure all of you are able to log in into this website by now. And once you are able to log in, you will be able to see the class. So this is the class you are supposed to reach. From this, we have kept certain assignments hidden for you because that's how you are not able to access, but I'm just turning them on. So first assignment that we need to do right now is basically the challenges in the manufacturing. So let me just show you that. So you can reach to this, the assignment number 1. Please make sure that you have access to this assignment now. If you're not able to, please just raise your hand. So you go to this. You have to basically list 3 reasons each for based on your understanding about manufacturing. As I have mentioned to you that there's a issue of poor quality. There's an issue of late deliveries experienced by Mr. Samrat. There's a problem of the higher cost. So if you have some understanding of manufacturing, you have to list out what are the probable reasons for this these outcomes, why the quality is poor, why the deliveries are late, and why the cost become high. So you have a chance to attempt this, so you please go ahead and then try to give your inputs in next 5 minutes. I'm just waiting.
Sir, are we supposed to write in the comments?
Yeah, so let me see what you are seeing as a participant. Yeah, so no, you have to write a add submission. You have to click the add submission.
Okay, sir.
And then you will get this text box to write.
Okay, sir.
Yeah, so just write item number 1 and then you can list out the reasons for the same. And then after that you submit the changes, save changes. This exercise is due right now, so you have to finish it right now.
Sir, actually, we have to list down the reason for poor quality, late
Yes,
deliveries,
yes.
and highest cost, right?
Yeah, certainly.
Right. And by clicking on add submission, we can write the reasons.
Yes, you will get a text box to write the things and then you save the changes.
Okay. So presently, I have I have logged in, two different places. One is my own system, and one is on my mobile. So it's okay, right?
It's okay because any device is fine. Even if you have from multiple devices, it's connected to your account only.
Right, sir.
Hello, sir. Please
Yes,
let me know how to enter into this particular quiz.
So have you logged in into this FSM Skills website?
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
And then are you able to reach to this course also? So on the website, once you log in, you will get access to this course FSM 201 Implementing Smart Manufacturing.
Okay.
Are you able to reach to this course?
1 minute, sir. I will just retab it.
Yeah,
Yes, I have on that page only.
Okay, so once you go to this FSM 201 course, go to the week 1, first week.
Okay.
And there you will see the assignments basically.
Okay.
Then you click on the first one, the challenges in manufacturing.
Okay, will do. Thank you.
Fine, thank you. So I'm waiting for this 7 to complete because then we take up the discussion further. Preeti, can you on WhatsApp group check with Dr. Ganeshan? He has not joined. So can you just find it out? Any issue with him?
Yes, sir.
So don't take much time. Whatever comes to your mind with your current understanding, please just punch on that information. What's the reason come to your mind for these issues that are being experienced? And these are very common things experienced by most of the manufacturers.
Sir, can you please share his number? Actually, it's not name is not visible in group.
Acha, WhatsApp group, let me just share with you. His number is 90921 10221.
Okay, sir.
Just check with you. Okay. So I got one submission now. Others, please let me know if you face any difficulty in submission. Because we have quite a few interactive elements where you are supposed to respond as we do in the class also. And some of the activities I will give you as an assignment that I will explain as we go along. So I have received 2 submissions.
If we say save changes, then it gets submitted, sir.
Yeah, then it gets submitted.
But submission status is saying draft not submitted. So
you have to press submit.
Click
change.
on submit assignment.
Yeah.
Okay. Now it's submitted, sir.
Yeah.
Submitted for grading, it says.
Professor Mukhtar, you have mentioned that you have submitted, but I can't see here.
Sir, now I actually I have not pressed that submitted button. So
Okay.
now
Okay. I got from Professor Uday, Ronak, and Dr. Nitin. So I get these 3. What about Atul? Have you done?
Yes, sir. 2 minutes.
Yeah, sure.
Sir, I have done now.
Okay, let me just check. Yeah, now I received your inputs. Professor Deshmukh, are you able to do it?
I am doing the third one. I will be submitting in one minute. Next 1 minute.
Sure. I'm waiting for you. No problem. See, understanding of a problem is very important part before we pitch into the technology. That is the reason we just want to have a quick understanding about what could be the probable reasons so that we can find out how we can map the technologies to help the manufacturers.
Sir, are you able to see my assignment?
Just a minute, let me see that.
Thank you.
Not yet.
Sir, I have submitted. Atul.
Yeah, Atul, I have received yours assignment. Professor Deshmukh, we still not received yours. So please check you press the right button to submit it.
Yeah. Okay, sir. Please.
So in the meantime, we'll just have a quick discussion on what has been submitted. So I'm sure that you are able to see my screen. And I'm just flashing on the challenges that has been mentioned by Ronak, I think first. Yeah. Now I got it. Professor Deshmukh, I got it now.
Yeah. Thank you, sir.
So we'll be starting with discussion from Atul. What he has mentioned, the challenges for the poor quality is the low accuracy of analog sensing elements, unchecked tool wear, skill based, bound to make error. So nice. I think he has captured nicely these three reasons. Late deliveries, unpredictable breakdown, human error in inventory maintenance, inside delay of output value for operator. Inside delay of output value for operator. What exactly it means, Atul?
So that means that for the operator to know how much is his output of his machinery, he has to calculate at the end of the day. It's not clear like on a dashboard as is possible with the
Okay, he's not getting an idea how many parts has been produced or something like that?
Yes, sir. Okay. Daily output.
Okay. To basically maintain his productivity, he should have some feedback that how many he has produced and how many more has to be made. Correct?
Yes, sir. And that may lead to some late deliveries because of...
Correct. Yes. Correct. Thanks. So higher cost manual error in machine operation leading to rejects. No scheduling leading to time wastage. Nice. High tool wear due to unchecked variables. Correct. So I think you have captured them nicely.
Sorry, sir, I got disconnected in between.
Inspection is not up to the mark. So quality checks are not being embedded. So they are not being done rightly. Objectives are not set up as per the infrastructure. So what exactly this mean, Professor Deshmukh?
Capability of infrastructure is known to everybody. So process capability of each machine is known. So if it is not implemented by the supervisor, he leads to bad quality.
So infrastructure, you mean the machine basically. Okay. So he's not aware of the capability of the machine and then how to operate it to produce good quality. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay.
Yes, sir. Yeah.
Thanks. Then late deliveries, lead time, raw material problem. So certainly you are highlighting towards the supply chain issues over here. Inventory, higher cost, close tolerance. Certainly it's another point, what is desired and how you will be able to deliver that close tolerance. Selection of site means where exactly you want to produce. Is that right?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, selection of site means if I have multiple plants, from which plant I should supply to a nearest OEM. Is that mean? Correct. And about the import of raw material or import of the sub-assemblies or components.
Basically, correct, sir.
Correct. It's fine. I think that's nice. Professor Mukhtar has captured these points. So poor quality, less skill of worker, poor machine condition means it's not being maintained, wrong selection of parameters. Fine. So I think I will suggest you can explain, that is better. So Professor Mukhtar.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So late deliveries, what are the reasons you would like to highlight?
That is a breakdown of the machine, unpredictable breakdown of the machine.
Yeah, unprecedented, unpredictable breakdown of the machine.
And not using optimum capacity of the machine. Okay, we can run the machine at higher cutting speed, but worker may use the lower speed, which also it is not according to the plan.
Yeah, so not maintaining the right productivity actually. That is why. Because you're supposed to make 100 pieces, but you're not able to make 100 because you are not running at an optimum capacity.
Yeah.
And for the higher cost?
Higher cost, that is non-value added, like that setup activity and that inspection activities and all that. Okay, just cutting is a value added activity.
Correct.
Activities are non-value added activities which lead to the higher cost.
And
due to that higher rejections also, that higher cost is included. And again, same here for wrong parameter, that is it leads to the higher cost.
Good. So I think it give me quite a good sense that you have an understanding of manufacturing, and certainly you are able to bring out the basic issues out, and that's a very good for understanding and implementation of the smart manufacturing technologies. So I appreciate that. Nitin, if you can explain.
Yes, sir. Wrong machining parameter selected. Basically, I try to cover man, machine, and material.
Okay.
In case of poor quality. So the three reasons: first is for wrong machining parameters, and second is material, poor material quality, and fourth one is a poor operator skill. In case it is manual working, but in case it's a CNC or some automated machine, then poor quality of tools.
Okay.
So that will lead to the poor overall quality of product. Three reasons for late deliveries may be a poor manufacturing schedule. The manufacturer could not able to maintain the schedule. Wrong logistic timetable means again it will be a schedule only, but schedule in terms of arriving of the raw material to the factory and delivery of the finished product to the customer.
Okay.
And third will be a inappropriate manufacturing setup. Many times just for a small machining purpose we have to rely on some vendors. Or if at all we need to do some treatment on product or some finishing touch, and for that only we rely on vendors.
Setup time, you mean that the setup time, that means an appropriate manufacturing setup means you indicating toward the setup means facility, or you are indicating the setup time for the product?
Means machining setup time many times. Right. And for higher cost, it's a wrong machining parameter selected that leads to the rejection of the product to be manufactured. Inappropriate use of tool again. Many times we require to do extra machining, or if at all that particular tool is not selected, then some more time will be taken to get that exact finish of the product, and that will lead to the higher cost. And poor operational management. Overall operations.
Good. I think that's nice. Now we'll go to Ronak. If you can explain your reasons.
Yes, sir. So for poor quality, one reason could be that the machinery is not maintained from time to time. So that would be one reason. Then tool changes should be scheduled properly. So if the tool is worn out, then the quality will not be good. And last should be in quality control, there might be human errors, so they miss out.
Human error in measurements or human error in producing with the right quality?
In the quality controls step, where they have to eliminate the pieces that are not up to par. So in that step, due to human error, due to slip ups. So, and for late deliveries, it will be poor coordination in staff. So, in the chain of command, if there are
When you say poor
inefficiencies.
coordination, it's all about the communication, basically, how you are communicating, and then lack of information. I think that's what you are trying to highlight. Yeah,
Yes,
nice.
sir. And then high lead time. So if they commit that we can, so the company might commit that we will deliver in this given time, but the actual time that they need would be higher. So due to high lead time, deliveries would be late. And for higher cost, they might be producing in inefficient ways. So waste, there is a high waste of materials. And if there are more defective items produced, there is more error, then they have to eliminate more, which would eventually
in fact, many
drive
times
up the cost.
inappropriate selection of the process also is not is also leading to a higher cost, because if you select a right process for producing a particular shape or particular machining, actually then you will be able to save a cost on that. That's right.
Yes.
Good. And now next, let's go to Professor Joshi.
Yes, sir. So the workers may not be educated enough to use sophisticated machines. So it is the training of the people who is required. Late deliveries because of the less coordination between the various sections.
Correct.
So proper communication between the various manufacturing parts, assembly line, will be reducing the delivery time, and the higher cost could be wastage of raw material or resource time.
Correct. So in fact, now as some of you were pointing out, means why the smart manufacturing is required, because mechanical engineering, because I'm seeing that all the problem that you are trying to bring it out, core mechanical engineering is doing its job. I think we are lacking something else, and that is the reason that people have thought through what could be the additional implementation or integration of technology can bring out the value and then cut down the wastages, basically. Fine, I think that's been nicely captured over. I will come back to this page once again. Let me go to my slide so that I will just show you what I have been listed over there. So I think the reason some of you have brought out, higher percentage rejections, that is leading to the higher cost, lack of operations insight. Actually, I think some of you have highlighted this aspect as well, that people are not having the right information about what is going on. So that is what I have highlighted over here. There are process variations, and many times it go unnoticed. So see, if you are not having an insight into the operations, there may be the variation in the parameters. Even if you provide a process sheet to the operator, you will later realize that he is not running the machine in those ranges that you have specified. So if you're not having an insight, if you're not able to notice those variations, certainly the outcome will be of a poor quality. Then many times you realize that people do repairing or some kind of an adjustment, and that there's a lot of rework required to be done. So I think that is most of the time people try to match the quality by doing the rework, and that is going to take an additional time, but still not make sure that that is going to be accepted. Next thing is the utilization of the equipment, and that is how the overall equipment effectiveness is coming into pictures. The availability of the equipment, as some of you have highlighted about the maintenance part, or an unprecedented failure or unpredictable behavior of the machine. So that will make unavailability of that machine, the quality of the outcome that is coming out, and the performance of the machine. So all these being measured with the help of OEE. So we will be able to see the owner is not able to maintain a high OE for these machines. And then there we need to find out the reasons for that. It means that we are not utilizing the capability of the whole system, the whole manufacturing or the production system. We talk about the information, it's not available in time, not in the right form. And that's how there is a gap in the communication. So that is what is being reflected over here. The scattered and unstructured information. So that is the cause of these problems. This has been already pointed out, suboptimal process control, because if you're not running machine into the optimum ranges, then you will not be able to deliver the right quality at the lower cost. Long setup and production time, this is another issue, and that is the reason that you limit your capacity within certain numbers to be produced. So we need to look at that. If you have to increase the productivity, you need to reduce the setup time and the production time. And then the downtime is a major problem with, if you have a unique machine, or you have a limited number of such machines, and those are critical. If they fail all of a sudden, that brings out a big problem to the supplier, and that is how the late deliveries are coming out. You also highlighted the un or semi-skilled manpower issues that is being captured here. Machine maintenance, that's very important, because without that you cannot keep it running, and you will not be able to maintain a higher OE of the machine. So I think these are the reasons. I appreciate that all of you have captured them rightly to some extent, and that is what we all understand. And even if you go to any of the manufacturer, he will also try to bring out some of these teething issues to you. And then now your role starts. Your job role is basically to suggest how you can help the owner of a factory to basically reduce the cost, make the timely deliveries, produce a good quality product, increase the portfolio of the product. Then only the business will be profitable. So that's a discussion that I had on this. And delayed decision making is, yeah, certainly the another aspect is the decision making, and decision making many times based on the experience, based on the incomplete information. So that is how the decision is not coming correct at the right point of time. So I think these are the important reasons we all have to understand. Now we see that what are the issues with the Samrat, and we have planned to make him a smart, and then I have intentionally put another terminology of the Samarth. So that is what I just want to discuss quickly. Being a smart and being a Samarth, there's a difference we need to understand. So bringing out certain capability is much more than getting just smart. So in the smart manufacturing, we also look forward that the capability of the people, capability of the system should also build up. So that is how we see that we would like to have a transition from a current scenario, that is what Samrat is already having, from its journey from Samrat to Samarth, and that is what we are trying to capture with the help of learning that we are going through this course. So we would like to make manufacturing more capable. What kind of capabilities are required over here? Again, that is a question I will leave for your thinking, and there's an assignment where you will be entering your ideas into that, not right now immediately. So now let's come to the stages in smart manufacturing. So now we have understood the issues with the manufacturing. And I am sure that you all are familiar with the kind of assets that you own in your workshops or in your small setup in your institute, or maybe you can think of any of the manufacturer own these kind of assets. So there are different stages of implementation. I think you have already gone through this awareness program where we have discussed briefly, but I'm just bringing them for discussion again. Because some of the conventional machines don't have capabilities to give you that insight and which you are expecting right now. So that is the reason that we look forward that we need to start with a basic integration of the right sensing, right computation, and then possible actuation, so that we will be able to bring out some information in the form of monitoring the machine, and then some decision making to be communicated back to the machines to control some of the parameters. So that's the first stage, that whenever we plan to implement the smart manufacturing, we have to start from these three basic elements to be integrated into any of the assets. If it is already an automated machine, or if it is a numerical control machine, you already have that. Post that, because we need to have, we need to exchange this information, or this information at a location away from the operator or away from the machine. So that is the reason we need to have some sort of connectivity with these machines, so that I need not to go to the machine to fetch that data. I need to get that information wherever I want. So if I'm moving around, if I am accessing the information on my mobile devices, I should be able to understand what is going on in the facility. So these two are the basic prerequisite for starting the smart manufacturing implementation. And we need to understand based on the example, means how we will be thinking of this implementation. So that's how I will discuss when I take up the example also. And once you are able to do that, then it will start giving you the advantages of implementation of smart manufacturing. Now, as one of you is asking about mechanical engineering, certainly these technologies are not directly fall into the domain of mechanical engineering, but to get the insight into the mechanical process and operations and how the machine is performing, we need to have this. So certainly the technology that has gone into the mobile phone is not directly related to your personal development, but that technology is adding value to your personal development. That is the idea. So whatever the additional retrofit, whatever additional enhancements that we are doing in terms of the technology, which are in the form of the sensors, controllers, connectivity, programming, visualization, all these are the value addition on top of it, so that we will be able to see clearly in the manufacturing operations, because that is going to result into the final outcome of a product. So here, after integration of these basic technologies, we will be able to get the visibility and then insight what is happening. And now how you will represent that information again is a domain, though we see that we will always find out that someone in a good in a programming and maybe from a computer science background can give us a better representation of the data or the presentation of that data. So that's how this subject is more interdisciplinary, starting from a basic integration of the sensor into the system. Now where and which type of parameters to be captured, that require an understanding about the equipment and the process. So this will bring out the visibility, and then we will also be bring out the transparency to understand why is it happening. If your system, if your machine is not giving you the right output, if my tool is wearing so fast, what could be the possible reasons for the same? So now I will be able to get more insight based on the information or based on the data that I'm capturing from the system. And based on that, I would like to build up more predictive capacity into the system so that I will be able to know these things in advance, and I will be able to predict the consequences if I am not going to take the corrective action. So that is what the capability building that we will be having. And lastly, we are looking forward for the adaptability, that my system should be able to take a corrective action. Because there's a, you might have gone through the slide where we have discussed the adaptation process. So I'm not adding that here, but if you just look at that scenario where the event takes place and the moment you get to know about that event has happened, and then by the time you implement the action, it already created a lot of delay, and then and each quanta of time is leading a loss to you, a loss to the business. So this is the reason that we look forward for this kind of an implementation, which will certainly able to take care of some of the issues that you have highlighted and bring out more profitability to the business. Now, again, to give you the basic ideas, I am sure that you all are familiar. We will just run through this idea of an understanding of the product life cycle, because when we supposed to choose the technology, we need to understand for what purpose we would like to implement that technology. Now, this product life cycle, starting from the customer requirement, capturing the idea about the requirement, generate the product concept, design the product, and finally prepare the manufacturing drawings, then take these drawings for the planning. So as you are highlighting that the scheduling is a problem, machines are not being planned proper so that this part will be processed on and in this particular sequence, and the availability of those machines will be issue. So proper planning and scheduling is very important part. And during that, you realize that you need to have some additional tools that should also be ordered, whatever fixtures required to be ordered. So these are all planning issues. and then it will go into the production and you exercise some kind of a quality control, and then final product is being prepared and dispatched. So this is just a quick overview of the product life cycle. I have explained in detail in one of the webinar. So today's point of understanding is that all these activities require certain time, which I am going to spend. So time that is going to be spent on the product is T1, time that you are going to spend on a batch, the preparation of a batch, the planning for the production system, that is T2, and then one time activity that you have to do for a particular product is the T3. So these are the 3 time elements gone into the whole product life cycle of a part that you are going to produce. Now this also I have discussed, so I'm just quickly run through. If any one of you have you need clarification or better understanding, please stop me. Otherwise, I'm just moving ahead with this understanding of these 3 time. One that you are going to spend once on the product. One is the time that you are going to spend on a batch of the product, and one is the time that you are going to spend per unit of the product. So with this basic understanding of the equation, finally we come out that what is the time spent on the product throughout the life cycle, and then average time spent. So this equation is very important from the perspective of the technology, because we need to figure it out. Whatever technology I'm going to choose, whatever option I'm trying to select, how it is going to contribute towards one of these reduction of this time. Certainly we are happy to reduce this time to as low as possible. That is the goal of the technology. But how we can do that? Now, if you see the impact over here, the time T3 is divided by the largest number, that is the BQ. One is the number of batches and number of quantity that you are going to produce in each batch. The time T2 is get divided by the Q only, and time T1 is not get divided by anything. So now I would like to discuss from you with you how you will see these T1, T2, and T3 in the scenario of the smart manufacturing, and why it is concerned, which time is more concerned. I just want to have a quick insight from all of you. Whoever wants to speak, just raise your hand, and then we can have a quick discussion on this slide. So who would like to speak on this time element, if you have an understanding about this? Atul?
Yes, sir. Sir, I think time T1 will have highest contribution, because the rest are getting divided over a number of products.
Yeah.
Produced.
So again, that is relative to how many quantities, how many numbers of that particular product you are going to produce.
Yes, sir.
There are 2 scenarios. That is what is important to understand over here. One is the scenario of a mass production. Another is the scenario we are talking about the customized production or customized manufacturing. Now, if I see these 2 scenarios, certainly there is a shift going to happen from a mass production or mass manufacturing to a customized manufacturing. So in light of this transition or this transformation happening in 4th industrial revolution, how you see this time T1, T2, 3 going to impact the whole production system?
Sir, in the mass production model.
Yeah.
Yeah, in the mass production model, T3 divided by BQ will be the smallest element, because the time spent in preparing the plans and designs will only be once for a couple of thousand of products. And even T2 by Q should be less, because during mass production, the batch size is quite high.
Correct.
So the main contribution will be T1, whereas in where customizability comes in, I think T2, T3 terms will have higher weightage, because the
numbers get so number in the denominator will get smaller actually.
Yes, sir.
So once you have something B and Q, yeah, please.
Yeah, sir. Can we broadly consider that when we say automation, the automation of actual manufacturing and automation of the supporting system?
Correct.
So can we consider T2, T3 towards automation of manufacturing support system?
Correct.
And if we see that, then there is a huge scope of reducing T1, T3 towards batch size. So we
T2,
will read
T2,
T2.
T3 are basically, yeah.
Right. So there is a scope of reducing this T2, T3 directly instead of increasing the batch size or production size as such.
Yeah, nice.
Can you?
So yeah, you're right. So I just want to have an input. Can you visualize any technology which will reduce T3 or T2? So anyone can give me any suggestion or any understanding? Any technology you see that is going to reduce T3?
Earlier, computer-aided process planning used to contribute in reducing this. Even CAD earlier days CAD software which emerged,
Correct.
and now ERP system or maybe SAP, which help us reducing T2, T3.
Anyone else? Professor Deshmukh, any inputs from your side?
For for T3, if we have got ready to use or component based design, will it reduce the design time? What are ready made?
Certainly. See, I think because Professor Deshmukh was talking about even 3D printing and the quick prototyping, and even without making a physical component, if I am able to visualize the part, that is how the CAD is coming into picture. If I'm able to simulate the whole manufacturing process for a new product without even running a physical process, these are some of the technologies which will help you reducing the T3 significantly. So if I'm going to design a product which is just requiring 5 numbers or 10 numbers, how can I validate without physically producing the product? So that is how you will be able to cut down a lot of initial time. There are new concepts of a generative design. If some of you have heard about that, otherwise you can search these keywords. So that will give me multiple options immediately without going even thinking about how to design this particular product. I have to choose from certain options coming to me, which are readily available, are generated by the system itself. So these kind of technologies are certainly.
Sir, I have heard one technology for reducing the time, that is digital thread. That integrating that design and planning and manufacturing.
Correct. So digital thread is basically more towards the instant sharing of the information or the connectivity between the different divisions or the departments so that they can collaborate in the real time. So how you exchange the information, how you will be sharing the information, and then how you will utilize that information to design the product, and that is basically helping you in reducing the T3 part. Good. I think that's what good. And T1, how you are going to reduce T1? Anyone on the idea of reducing T1? No idea about how you can reduce T1?
One of the way by doing automations and automated information system.
True. So automation at the core is basically helping you in reducing the time T1. So if you see this slide, automation at smart manufacturing, our goal is to reduce the various time elements in the product life cycle, and the automation technologies are basically reducing T1. So whatever technologies you see here, I will put more emphasis on T1. So whether it's in a pneumatic systems, electro-pneumatic systems, controllers, PLCs, these are all help me in automating multiple operation into the machine, and we will be able to reduce the time T1. And when we talk about the smart manufacturing, again, it's concerned with all three, but our emphasis is more on the T2 and T3. So that is how the quick understanding from these time factors, we will be able to classify which technology is basically going to impact on which type of time. Now let's take a quick example of a lathe machine. That is how I will be starting this discussion. So now you see how the transition happens from the basic lathe machine concept. So I'm sure that all of you are familiar with lathe machine. That's how I've taken one of the basic example or the common example of a machine. As we all have to go through this machine in all our engineering, So we need to understand means how the concept of lathe machine has been evolved. So if you see here, the whole idea is to understand the metal cutting process. That is how the metal cutting mechanics being understood by the mechanical engineering people who has an understanding of the mechanical systems and the basic physics. So this is again coming out from those who are using hand tools initially. Now they would like to make some of these operations with the help of more power and precise movements. That is where the metal cutting mechanics being involved. Once people have understood this mechanical requirement, they have designed this kind of a system. So I'm sure that now you will be able to understand what exactly is there in the lathe machine. So people come out with the ideas to develop a or I should say the purely mechanical system, no electro, sorry, purely mechanical system. So where you will be designed, because you get to know that you have to rotate the part, so that you designed a chuck, which is again coupled with the multiple gears, because you want to control the speed of that rotation, and you would like to engage the tool. So you design some hardware over here, which is going to do the cutting operation, and then there is a tailstock to support the long parts. And then you have designed some of the rotary elements which will translate into the linear motion, and then you will be able to make the relative motion of the cutting tool with respect to the workpiece. That is what the mechanical engineering is. Now people have gone through this exercise, they have understood the requirement of a process, and they come out with a design of a machine tool, and then how it has to be driven. So people initially driven this mechanical system with the steam engines. Means you need a prime mover which will be able to rotate this machine, and that is how the first design of a lathe machine has been come into existence, with a purely mechanical system understanding. And that is how we are all as a mechanical engineer feel proud that we know the basic metal cutting process, as well as we understand how the machine tool is being designed, and then it will be going to work. Now this is what, if we just limit our understanding to the mechanical systems only, we will be confining to this machine even after the even 100 200 years of industrial revolution. We will be limiting our thinking to this machine only. So now if you see the transformation that happened over a period of time, so requirement we all understand, we want to rotate the chuck, we need to give a motion to the slide, cross slide over here to give a depth of cut, and we will be giving a motion in this direction to give a feed. So that is what the understanding of the mechanical system is there. Now over a period of time, people have understood that the transformation happens in the source of energy. So this machine has been developed, which will again remain as a mechanical system for the basic operations. Material has been changed, because earlier some part has been made in the wood, now it has been made in the pure metals. Still the metal cutting mechanics is valid. So we cannot say that the mechanical engineering is no more required. I will be just working on more smart manufacturing. The basic mechanical systems, basic metal cutting mechanics is still relevant over here. Only thing what you have seen over here, there's an addition of an electrical system, because now I would like to drive my machine from electrical motor instead of running it from a steam engine. So there comes the role of an induction motor. So you have introduced an induction motor, then certainly the circuit required to control the speed of this induction motor if you want to operate electrically, or you will be introducing the mechanical gears with the levers, you will be shifting the gears to change the speed. So that is how the electrical system now get plugged in into your mechanical system. And you need to know electrical engineering if you are going to make this machine. And then you need to produce a mechanically coordinated motion. In this case, it means that I will be shifting the gears, I will be changing the shafts or the pulleys and belts being used over here to generate the different speeds. And manually I have to rotate these wheels to produce the mechanical relative motion between the tool and the workpiece. So that is what the basic understanding of the engineering that is required to produce this machine. Again, the same motions are required over here. So these three motions. But if you understand now, there are two motions being generated manually, because that's how the operator is rotating these wheels to give a depth of cut, and then he is rotating the wheel to produce a feed. and that feed rate is being controlled manually. That is what the, and then speed, he's just setting up the speed is being set up by the selection of the gear, or by the selection of the speed by the electrical system. Now he is going to produce these products. Now, if you see the kind of skills required, the shift in the skills that has happened over here, you need to understand the basic mechanical engineering to design the machine, as well as the understanding of the electrical system. You need to have an understanding about the process of manufacturing the machines. And certainly you need an operator to run the machine. So this is the basic understanding being developed and evolved over a period of time, where you have migrated from the basic mechanical understanding to the basic electromechanical system. So we call it an electromechanical system. Now, over and above this, how you are going to add on the additional technologies that we will be discussing in the subsequent class, because we are already touching 7 o'clock right now. Please think on it. Miss, now what are the additional development happened over the last few decades? What kind of changes has happened into this machine? We'll come to that discussion in the next class. Before leaving the class, I will be just sharing the website again, because there are some activities to be completed with this discussion now. Let me just give you a glimpse of the same, so that you will be able to finish that basic things before we come to the next class. So if you come to this site again, there's an assignment over here which is to be completed today. Smart features on the lathe machine. We have discussed the lathe machine. Now list 3 smart features on the lathe machine which will help improving quality, productivity, and the cost. So this is the assignment. I need to change this time, because I think cutoff I have kept till 7. I will increase it till midnight today. So you have to attempt this today. Post that, there's a assignment which are due on the 7th March. So what you have to do, there's a concept of Samarth manufacturing. So you have to attempt this. What will be the difference between the smart manufacturing and a Samarth, that is a capable manufacturing? So you have to write briefly, very few lines over here. These are very short concept based input that you have to provide over here. Another thing, you have to discuss briefly 2 technologies, each help in reducing time T1, T2, T3 in the product life cycle. So this also we have touched upon today. But you have to submit this input in this assignment. You have to just discuss briefly, means you have to just write 3-4 lines about these technologies. That's all. You need to describe it, because there's a word limit to what you submit over here. Again, the next one is basically there's a assignment over here which is about technology shaping future of manufacturing. This is a quiz. I have compiled list of 14 technologies over here which are shaping future of manufacturing. And out of that, once you attempt this, you will get a selection of any randomly 5. So any 5 being given to you, each one of you, as you attempt it, you have to briefly describe. So you have to write a brief description about the technology. Not more than 100 words about that specific technology. And this will again open till 7th of March. So these are the 3 assignment and quiz to be attempted in the time, by the time we'll come back for the next session on the 9th of March. So these are the 3 assignments. I will make them open. They will be available on your page. So please go through it and then attempt it. So before I close, let me just get your choice for the lab on Saturday, because 6th of March we have planned the lab. I'm not sure whether you all will be having classes and the institute working on Saturday. So will 11 to 1 will be the good time to have a lab, or 3 to 5 will be a good time to have the lab? Any quick inputs from your side? So I got input from Uday. It's 11 to 1, same 3 to 5. So what I will do, let's get a feedback quickly here because number is not that large. So 3 to 5. So let's not go with the divided opinion. Otherwise, I will just put any time. Let's converge on some common timing.
I think majority is sir 11 to 1, so we'll go with that.
Okay, fine. So we'll plan to have 11 to 1. If it is not any clash, I'll prefer that all of you should join 11 to 1 on Saturday. Okay, thanks for your time and this starting session.